The Dharma, incomparably profound and exquisite, is rarely met with even in hundreds of thousands of millions of kalpas. We now can see it, hear it, accept and hold it. May we realize the true mind of the Tathagata. Today is the fourth day of this May session and 2021 at Mountain Gate, the second part of the doubleheader here in the spring. And earlier in session, I shared Kalu Rinpoche's comments on the nature of mind. He spoke of three qualities of this mind with a capital M, which we are. Not that we have, but which we are. Clarity, openness, and what he called sensitivity, but he also clarified as unimpededness. I'm not quite sure how he got sensitivity as a subset of unimpededness, but I think it may take a certain degree of sensitivity to not be impeded. But at any rate, clarity, openness, and sensitivity, or unimpededness, are the qualities attributed to this mind that we are. And then there's a big question: how come we don't realize that? How come we're caught in jealousy, anger, irritation, frustration, boredom, and all the other mind states that human beings can get caught in? He speaks of the veils that cover up this purity of beingness that we are. And he speaks of four different veils. And let me share again from this book, Luminous Mind, The Way of the Buddha, his what he says about these veils. If there is no essential difference between the mind of a Buddha and our own mind, why does a Buddha have so many qualities attributed to that person, and we do not? The difference is that in our minds, the Buddha nature is obscured by all sorts of coverings. Each of the three facets of pure mind, that is, the openness, the clarity, and the unimpededness, becomes at an impure level, that is a level of ignorance, one of the elements that constitute dualistic experience. To begin with, ignorance of the openness of the mind leads to a conception of a subject, me, the observer. And ignorance of the essential clarity leads to ignorance of exterior objects, that they seem to be exterior. This is how the subject-object, me-other dichotomy arises. Once the two poles of the dualistic view have been established, various relationships develop among them, which in turn motivate different activities. The stages of this process comprise four veils that mask the pure mind, or Buddha nature. These are the veil of ignorance, the veil of basic propensity, the veil of mental afflictions, and the veil of karma. They are consecutive and structured one after the other. With regard to the veil of ignorance, he says this: the mind's ignorance of its true nature, that is, the simple fact that it does not recognize what it truly is called fundamental ignorance. It doesn't kind of matter what it's called. What is most important for us in practice as we seek to open to that clarity, openness, and unimpededness that we are, is to recognize when we are caught in one of these veils, and to, through the light of our awareness, our curiosity, our openness to possibility, melt that veil. It is a basic inability of the conditioned mind to perceive itself. We keep thinking that This is me. This is me. That's him. That's him. That's her. Whereas it's all this one mind. And the most amazing life can unfold when we recognize that we are all one. When we see the differences in the unity, when we see the emptiness of all of it, allowing, in essence, a metaphor, the sun to shine unimpeded throughout the universe. So that's the veil of ignorance. Then there he talks about the veil of basic propensity. Mind controlled by ignorance engages in delusions, among which the most basic, the root of all others, is dualistic grasping in terms of subject and object. And here I'd like to quote a poem by Rumi that expresses this. Oops, that's not the right one. It's a poem by Hafiz. And I'll have to find it here. If a naive and desperate man brings a precious stone to the only jeweler in town wanting to sell it, the jeweler's eyes will begin to play a game, like most eyes in the world when they look at you. The jeweler's face will stay calm. He will not want to reveal the stone's true value, but to hold the man capture to fear and greed, while he calculates the value of the transaction. But one moment with me, my dear, will show you that there's nothing Hafiz wants from you. When you sit before a master like me, even if you are a drooling mess, my eyes sing with excitement. They see your divine worth. If a naive and desperate man brings a precious stone to the only jeweler in town wanting to sell it, the jeweler's eyes will begin to play a game, like most eyes in the world when they look at you. The jeweler's face will stay calm. He will not want to reveal the stone's true value, but to hold the man captive to fear and greed, while he calculates the value of the transaction. But one moment with me, my dear, will show you that there's nothing Hafiz wants from you. When you sit before a master like me, even if you're a drooling mess, my eyes sing with excitement. They see your divine worth. And each of us has that divine worth. It is only because of these veils that cover up our innate perfection, our clarity, our wisdom, our compassion, that we fail to see it. And so we do a lot of Zazen, and we work mightily to open to who we really are, to let go of those veils. In another poem of Hafiz, and again, this is from I Heard God Laughing, rendering of Hafiz by Daniel Ladinsky. This one is titled For a While. We've all come to the right place. We all sit in God's classroom. The only thing left for us to do, my dear, now is to stop throwing spitballs for a while. Here we have available to us a means to lift those veils, to open to this innate perfection, to see the true worth of all beings as ourself. We human beings are so filled with greed, anger, and delusion because we fail to perceive that innate perfection, that innate quality of the mind that we are. And we can't really explain very well how to open to it fully so that we can become free of greed, anger, and illusion. And the other thing is, given that we have lived many lifetimes, and you don't have to believe that, it's fine if you don't. We've gathered, even in this one lifetime, many experiences of conditioning, which create assumptions about ourselves and about others, that create likes and dislikes, some of them quite furious, some of them quite intense. And all of it brings moments of peace and happiness, if we're fortunate, and plenty of suffering. Yet, who we really are can be untouched by these things, which are all really illusions. If our true mind is, another way of defining it is lucid transparency. It is this emptiness that has potential. As the scroll behind me says, out of not one thing arise the 10,000 things. And at the top of that scroll is an enso, representing the true mind, perfect, whole and complete, lacking nothing. You can't add anything to a circle, and you can't subtract anything, or it's not a circle anymore. We are innate perfection. And it is some sense of this that calls us to practice. We want to become free. We want to return to our true home. And through the means offered by this practice, in particular, the extended out breath, coupled with the openness to possibility, wearing away at these veils, gradually dissolving them so that we can see clearly, increasingly clearly. Yesterday, when I was quoting Kalu Rinpoche, he was speaking of mind as symbolically like a clear glass, a clear window, and that our afflictions, as they're called in the Chinese Zen or Chan Buddhism, are what obscure that clarity. It's always there. As Hafiz said, even if we're a drooling mess, our true worth is still evident. Yet, we don't see this. We fight wars. We have huge political struggles. We have murders. We have pain and suffering. Some more poetry here. Because poetry can express things it's very hard to express in any other way, really, because they speak in metaphor. There's another one somewhere. There's a wonderful game. There's a game we should play, and it goes like this. We hold hands and look into each other's eyes and scan each other's face. Then I say, now, tell me a difference you see between us. And you might respond, Hafiz, your nose is 10 times bigger than mine. Then I would say, yes, my dear, almost 10 times. But let's keep playing. Let's go deeper. Go deeper. For if we do, our spirits will embrace and interweave. Our union will be so glorious that even God will not be able to tell us apart. There's a wonderful game we should play with everyone, and it goes like this. And there's another poem of Rumi. I die as a stone and become a plant. I die as a plant and I'm raised up to be an animal. I die as an animal and I'm reborn as a man. When I die as a man, I shall come back to life as an angel. I will transcend even the angel to become what no man has seen, no thing, nothing with a capital N. We're on the fourth day of Sesshin. We've had many hours on the cushion. We have gained some depth, openness of mind. Yet, we can go so much farther and become so truly free. As I said before, it's not a simple task. Well, it actually is a simple task, but it's fraught with seeming complications, because in order to become free, we have to know where we're caught. And Zazen will show us. It's not an experience that most people like in the beginning. But as we continue to go deeper and realize that when we can see where we're caught and effectively let it go through the seeing, the experience of how it feels, the owning of it, the radical acceptance that, well, it may feel like shit, but it is, I can see clearly that I've been behaving in this way. Then there is release. And in that release, there is openness and freedom. Increasingly so, each release we are able to affect. This is another way of saying that the veils begin to be thinner. And we keep going in that direction. And at some point, we have let go enough that there's a big opening that we can experience, which is called Kensho or Satori. And again, it's not the end. We don't want to stop there. The view may be marvelous, but there's a most profound view awaiting just a little further on. So we need to keep going, to keep going, to keep going. Because if we keep going in this way, with these tools, we will become free. And that freedom is not anything that can be described. It is the only true freedom that there is for human beings. The rest of it is temporary. But we have this yearning to be free. And if we follow it down to its root, as Chinno, the Korean master of history, said, trace the radiance back to its root, down to its root. Turn the light inward, trace it down to its root. There are many ways of saying this. In effect, we need to deepen our inner exploration of this seeming mind so that we gradually open to the reality of the one true mind that we are, that is called all manner of names, depending on what religion you're brought up in or ascribed to, whether it is true nature, essential nature, the Tao, God, Allah, or the millions of names for that which cannot be named. So I don't want to fill your ears with more words, because it's about letting go of concepts that will bring us to freedom. And then we are free to play with all the concepts in the world. But first, we need to see who we really are and recognize that these concepts are simply concepts, games invented to entertain children, poets would say. So this is very short, but it is, I hope, something that will inspire you to really dive into your practice, because every moment ticks by. We actually have 3 birthdays coming up for people here in Sesshin. We've got Dale turning 70 tomorrow. We got Steve, who I'm not quite sure how old he is. But joyfully young, as is Dale, and Ignatius, who will turn 30. A real turning point for each of you, and a chance to go so much deeper. There's something about our birthday, the anniversary of our birth, that somehow is especially optimal for practice. So take advantage of it. And we have Bodaiko, who will soon be having a birthday too. And all of us will have a birthday this year. So I thank you for listening. We'll stop now and recite the 4 vows.